Let's say you have a narrative short film or a series that you want to create to where in each and every scene you need the actor or actress to consistently look exactly the same from scene to scene or series to series. Previously, you yourself would have had to been an animator or you would have had to hire an animation shop in order to achieve that level of character consistency. Well, thanks to AI, and more importantly, a recent update from FreePik, you now have the ability to create your own character that not only unmistakably looks exactly the same from scene to scene or series to series. I'm going to show you how to pull this off step by step, as well as point out some of the pitfalls that you can run into when trying to create consistent characters that no one else on YouTube is talking about. And this is going to save you both time and wasted credits on trying to train a consistent character that was never going to work out from the beginning. So let's get right into it. What's going on, everyone? My name is Paul Donis Maximus. Thanks for checking out the AI Filmmaking Advantage, where here we talk about how to make and monetize AI film production. And before we get into it, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. We just surpassed the 5,000 subscriber mark. And what's interesting about that is 13 days ago, we had only recently surpassed the 4,000 subscriber mark. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed to the channel. Your subscription to this channel is basically your vote of confidence, and I look forward to continuing to bring you narrative AI filmmaking tips and tutorials, just like we're going to get into right now. And so again, guys, the holy grail of AI filmmaking is being able to train the AI to create you a consistent character that looks exactly the same, scene after scene, or series after series, which is ultimately what we're trying to achieve for narrative filmmaking. Again, what's going to set you apart from all of the other AI filmmakers out there who are just generating random video clips that are not interconnected with one another whatsoever is being able to use AI to completely transform how we approach narrative filmmaking going forward. Again, just think about that concept. In order to have been able to create a consistent character before this AI revolution, you yourself would have had to been an animator, which I don't know about you. I used to try to teach myself how to draw as a kid and I sucked at it. Or again, if you had your heart set on creating your own animated series, you would have to hire an animation studio, which could almost be just as expensive as trying to create a big budget Hollywood production. So that means you would have had to have the budget to be able to hire an animation studio, which I would hazard to say 99.9% of the audience watching this video don't have the resources to be able to hire an animation studio, even a small animation studio, and you likely don't know someone who knows someone who knows someone who could get you those resources. But again, thankfully, there are advancements happening to AI literally almost every single week, and now you have the ability to create a consistent character using one of my favorite AI tools called FreePik. And so what we're going to be talking about in this video is the reason why you'd want to learn how to create a consistent character. And trust me, if you're wanting to make this a successful endeavor to where you actually have a sustainable AI filmmaking career, this is something that you absolutely have to get right from the start. We're then going to go over to FreePik to show you what the tool looks like, all of the inputs you would need in order to have an output of a consistent character that is also dynamic, because again, if you don't do this correct, you will have a static consistent character, and as you will see, you would have end up wasting a bunch of credits because the AI is not going to save you from a sloppy input. As they say in the computer programming world, garbage in, garbage out. So not only am I going to show you how to pull this off, I'm also going to walk you through the common pitfalls that no one else on YouTube is talking about. These are things I've discovered via trial and error, which means I've wasted a bunch of credits trying a bunch of shit that didn't work. And because of that, you're going to save a lot of time and money getting your consistent character correct the first time around. So this could end up being a pretty lengthy video, but I'm going to try to make it as concise as possible. And with that said, let's jump right into the tutorial. And as a quick heads up, if you want to take your consistent character from basic to buffed, then you're going to want to watch this tutorial from beginning to end. And so with that said, let's go ahead and get right into the video. So really quickly, let's talk about why AI filmmakers need consistent characters. Why should you even care about this? Which it should be completely obvious to people who are looking to do narrative AI filmmaking, but maybe it's not crystal clear for some. But let's again quickly get into it. Why AI filmmakers need consistent characters. And quite simply, it's all about the money. And you may be saying, Paul Donis, what the hell are you talking about? How is character consistency consistent with money? Well, as I've got right here on my screen, you get to create your own avatar star. So again, think about it. You are a studio. Studios hire actresses and actors. Studios also turn those actors and actresses into stars. And that is essentially what you're doing. With your own avatar star, you now have the ability to create your own Tom Cruise. And let's say that you're making your AI films and people are really digging it, especially the actual avatar that you created. You gave this avatar a unique voice to where each and every time your audience sees, in my example here on the screen, Natasha, they know what she should sound like, they know what she looks like, and they love seeing her in action. Whether it's a detective flick, whether she's playing a queen, whether she's playing a cyberpunk action hero. If your audience love seeing your avatar in action, give them more of him or her. And that bullet point is very important for the second one, which is scene consistency unlock. So not only in your AI films, every time they see Natasha, she should look exactly the same. It's now that in any production that you create, you get to use your own version of Natasha in that production if you want to. Now, this is something that I used to talk about a lot on this channel when it used to be Independent Film Producer U. This allows you to complete what I call the serial filmmaker framework. The way the serial filmmaker framework works is that, let's say that you're making a series of short films. You put the first 2 or 3 of those short films out that's part of a series, and then you tell people, hey, look, if you love this, I've got the complete series, which is about 8 to 10 episodes, on my website or on my Patreon. If you sign up, you get access to all 10 of those episodes, plus other bonus material. That is the bare minimum example of how you can monetize not only short film production, which is the track that I was on prior to the revamp of this channel to focus on AI filmmaking, but this is the path that you'll be able to take as an AI filmmaker. And we'll get more to talking about that in another video, because a lot of you may not be able to wrap your head around that concept, because you may be doubting it. You may be saying, how would I actually be able to make money with short film productions? Well, hint, YouTube has something called YouTube monetization. And in a previous video, I introduced you guys to the Abandoned Films channel, which is doing exactly that. And I guarantee you those guys are monetized. And that's only the very first basic level of how you'd be able to monetize your short film productions. And again, with scene consistency unlock, you can create your own Naruto, Game of Thrones, or Avengers. That is why the ability to now create consistent characters is so important for AI narrative filmmakers, especially when it comes to being able to monetize what you're doing. Let's continue on. Okay guys, so get ready for the most definitive guide on how to actually create consistent characters, and not only consistent characters, but consistent characters that are dynamic in range. If you don't understand what that means, I will be showing you exactly that in this video. And what I'm going to be walking you through right now is the steps that we need to take before we actually get to the part to where we can generate the consistent characters. And we do that first by going to FreePik.com. That's FreePik.com. And when you land on FreePik.com, you're going to want to click on Tools, and then you're going to want to click on AI Image Generator. And once you click on that, you'll end up on a screen like this, and then you're going to want to go here and click on Character. Now, as you can see here, FreePik preloads your interface with characters that they created themselves. These are the characters that I've created, and just to make sure that we're on the same page about what we're doing here, we're going to be creating consistent characters. They're also referred to as avatars, but these characters are not characters that are ourselves. I've already showed you how to create avatars of yourself, and if you need that tutorial, just look on my channel for the one that I used with Kreia AI. In that video, I used their train AI model to create consistent avatars of myself. But again, in this video, we're going to be making consistent characters that are not ourselves. And as you can see, I've already created some consistent characters, and Danny is the one that I'm going to be using as an example in this particular tutorial because it's actually the one that I got correct. So I want you to hear me, and I want you to hear me well. In the process of trying to create consistent characters that actually have dynamic range, you can actually fuck this up. And I will explain how you can fuck this up as we continue on with the tutorial. But what we're going to ultimately end up doing is we're going to click on new character. We're going to give it a character name. We're going to select the gender. We're going to upload our photos, and we're going to create the character using either a high quality setting or an ultra quality setting. Now, both of these settings actually consume the same amount of credits, which is 5,500. And so what I've been doing is just using the ultra setting since it's going to consume the same amount of credits anyway. And over here on the right, FreePik gives you instructions on what you actually need in order to be able to create your consistent character. It says we're going to need 12 to 24 images, though 5 to 25 images can also work. Let me tell you this right now. This 5 to 25, that is a lie. And if I remember, I'm showing you the actual screenshot to where I tried to do this with about 6 images, and FreePik told me that you need at least 8. That little hiccup right there is the reason why I'll be demonstrating the completed process with my consistent character named Danny, because as I've already mentioned, I've already tried recording this tutorial a few times and I had lots of fuck ups along the way. And again, one of those examples was I got to this step after going through all those other things about how to get the images, how to upload them here, everything that I'm going to be showing you coming up next, uploaded the 6 images, and then boom. Hey, guess what? You need 8 images in order for this to work. So again, you could ignore this right here. It says 5 to 25, you need at least 8, but I'm going to show you how you can get more than 8 so that you make sure that you're covered. This right here is very important, and it's even more important with images that are not of yourself. When I created my own consistent character of myself, this was not an issue because I have images where I've got different angles and expressions going on. Most tutorials on YouTube will show you how to get the consistent character, but they do not show you how to actually get the range of emotions that you actually need, such as what it says here. You need images with varied angles, backgrounds, lighting, and facial expressions to make the character feel natural and dynamic. Let me show you why this is so important just right quick. As you can see, I have this consistent character named Amber, and if I click on the settings, you see the images that I uploaded of Amber, and what you may or may not catch is that Amber is smiling in every damn one of those photos. Now you might ask, what's wrong with that? I mean, she's smiling, she looks happy. Isn't that exactly what you want? The answer to that is yes and no. And here's why. You may assume that the AI will do what you need it to do based on your prompt. And as I did, you will have assumed incorrectly. As you can see right here, I wanted Amber to look sad. Does Amber look sad right here? No. I wanted Amber to be frowning. Does it look like Amber's frowning right here? No. Let's see if we can make Amber angry. I don't know about you, but Amber doesn't look angry to me at all. But check this out. I asked for a depressed young woman sitting at the edge of her bed. I referenced my consistent character Danny, and what do we have? A depressed young woman sitting at the edge of her bed. That's why getting consistent characters with dynamic ranges is what you have to get correct before you create your character, or you're just going to end up wasting a bunch of credits. So again, let me make it abundantly clear. If you fuck this process up, the AI will not save you. I hope I've made myself clear. Now, you may be asking, okay, Paul Donis, FreePik says we need 12 to 24 images, though 5 to 25 can work. But again, I've already showed you that's a lie. You need at least 8 or more. And you need varied angles, expressions, and the like in order to make your character feel more dynamic. Awesome, Paul Donis. How do I get 12 to 24 images of a character that doesn't already exist? Because sure, I could go over here and prompt FreePik to create a female character or a male character for me, but it's not going to give me 12 to 24 images of that same output. How the heck do I get 12 to 24 images of the same person who doesn't even exist? That's a great question. We're going to answer that right now. Okay, so here we are in my Airtable database where I'm starting to organize all of my prompts. I just signed up for Airtable. As you can see, a few days ago, they give you a 14-day free trial, and I'm absolutely going to be signing up once my trial ends because there's no point in spending all of this time organizing my prompts, putting this together, and then having features and things limited because you're not paying them. And the reason I've done this is because I've got my prompts all over the place. They're in Notes apps, they're in ClickUp, they're in ChatGPT, they're in Claude, they're all over the place, and I find myself having to refer to some of these prompts over and over again. And since I'm going to be spending a great deal of time creating consistent characters for narrative filmmaking, which is the ultimate goal, right? Then it makes sense to organize prompts that you use over and over again, and more importantly, prompts that actually work into one database to where you can access it as needed. And I'm also thinking about giving you guys access to this database. So if this is something you think you'd be interested in accessing, just let me know in the comments below this video. And what we're going to do is click on this card right here. I made a card specifically for what we're calling consistent character photo grid creation. As the name suggests, you're going to want to create a photo grid in order to give you the amount of images that you need that are going to be dynamic in range, which will give you a dynamic, consistent character. Now, this is how we're going to achieve this. I've got some detailed instructions that I've created for myself, and there's a couple of ways of doing this. We're going to be focusing on the version that creates a consistent character with no reference photo. And what that simply means is we're going to be using a prompt that doesn't reference any other photo anywhere. So basically, if you found a stock image photo, or maybe you created a photo and you wanted to use that photo as the basis for creating your consistent character, that would be the version 2 of this. And that in itself comes with a drawback. And I've noted that right here. You can use a reference photo in ChatGPT to get a physical description of what you want your consistent character to look like, but you will not be able to use that same image as an attached reference photo because the AI will not generate the photo grid. So what does that mean? So basically, if I wanted to use this photo as the reference photo in order to create this photo, that's fine, but I would not be able to use this reference photo as the consistent character because the AI will not generate the photo grid. If you don't believe me, go try it yourself. Try to put in a photo like this or whatever you have, and then try to tell it to give you a photo grid. It's not going to work. It's only going to consistently generate one image each and every time. Again, a lot of the data that I'm giving you comes from trial and error. So if you want to save time and you don't want to waste a bunch of credits, then you're going to want to follow the steps exactly as I lay them out in this video. So again, I may do a separate video on how to create a consistent character from a reference photo, but again, in this one, we're only going to be focusing on version 1, no reference photo. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to give ChatGPT a prompt that's going to give us a more optimized prompt in order to use in FreePik. And again, you may be asking, okay, Paul Donis, why do we want to create a prompt to give to ChatGPT in order for ChatGPT to give us a prompt to take into FreePik, when if you add a image to FreePik, like I'm going to do right here, I'm going to select this photo right here that I've already created. FreePik already tries to give you a prompt to use based on your image. But again, for one, since we're not using a reference image photo, that would not be applicable to this instance. And then 2, the prompt that FreePik generates based on the image that they give you, it's not very optimized. Because again, I could take that same prompt into ChatGPT, which I actually did, and got a much better prompt. And that's how I was able to create this awesome image and video. So again, back to my database, we're going to get a prompt from ChatGPT that's actually going to create us a 12-panel photo collage of the person that we're trying to create. And I've got the instructions right here, and all you need to do is just swap out what you need, and I'll actually paste this below the video or in the video description so that you can copy paste it for yourself. And what I'm going to do is actually just take the one that I've already got filled out, and I'm going to copy this right here. I'm going to drop that prompt into ChatGPT, which says, give me a prompt for Midjourney and Flux that creates a 12-panel photo collage of an attractive Caucasian female. Each photo should be against an all-white background and show her in different poses, displaying a varying range of emotions like happy, sad, angry, depressed, etc. Very important. Only her face should be visible in the frame. And again, theoretically, I could just take this prompt over to FreePik, drop it in, see what it gives me. But as you're going to see, ChatGPT is going to give you a much more optimized prompt. Let's see what that looks like right now. And you can even see right here from their output, it says here is an optimized prompt for both Midjourney and Flux. We're only focused on Flux because that's the model that FreePik uses for the consistent character feature. And this is what it gave us: a 12-panel collage featuring a close-up portrait of an attractive Caucasian woman with a range of facial expressions. Each panel highlights a specific emotion: happy, sad, angry, surprised, confused, excited, scared, thoughtful, confident, playful, embarrassed, and relaxed. Now, whether that actually happens on the output is subjective, so don't freak out if you don't get every single range within this description, but it will be varied enough to where you can achieve what you need with the 12-panel grid that gets generated. The background is entirely white with even studio lighting focusing only on her face for uniformity. So we're going to copy this prompt right here. We're going to come back into FreePik and we're going to drop the prompt right there. And I'm not going to click this. As you see, the balloon says it improves short prompts and generates diverse variations. But since we've already got an optimized prompt from ChatGPT, we don't want FreePik to try to optimize this even further and make the AI hallucinate and really screw up our results. And what I'm going to do so that I'm not needlessly burning through credits in case what I'm getting looks crazy, I'm going to turn this down to just give me one image. And you're going to want the aspect ratio to be 16:9 in order to fit all 12 of those photos within the panel. So we've got our prompt. The mode is Flux 1.0, but you can switch this to Flux 1.1 if you want to. We're going to generate one image and we're going to go for 16:9 as the aspect ratio. Let's click generate. Now, this was the first generation and I think it's okay, but it has too many hands in the image, which should be fine because check this out. When I created my avatar consistent character in Crea AI, I've got all kind of crazy shit going on. I've got sunglasses on, I've got headphones on. One image, I've got my finger pointing to my head. Here's another one with sunglasses on and the sunroof open. But as you can see, it honestly really didn't matter when it came to me trying to generate images that I wanted. Like here's one with me wearing a vest and I've got my hands in my pocket. There's no headphones on, there's no sunglasses. I didn't do any modifications to this photo. That's what generated whenever I put in a prompt that I wanted, which was this prompt right here. So again, that should be fine, but two things. I want to see if we can get something even better. And with this image panel, we only got 8 images. As you can see from the images that I've generated in the past, you can achieve even more than that. This one right here gave a 18 panel output. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the top, 6, 12, 18. So all you need to do is just go back to FreePik and just click the generate button again. And again, you can see what generates. It has some hands in there. And again, it shouldn't matter whatsoever. I'm going to generate some more. And this is what showed up on this generation. And so what you'd want to do with some of the generations that you make is you want to make sure that the images that you see with your own eyes actually tell you whether or not this would be a diverse range of emotions. As you can see right here, like I barely see any images where she's smiling. This one right here captures a smile. It captures surprise, captures shock. I don't really see where it captures her being angry. So again, you just have to come here and just generate some images until you get what you need. And so out of all of the images that I've generated so far, I would say this one closely captures what you would need in terms of a range of diverse emotions. Again, I don't see her smiling too much in these, but I would say that passes for a smile. This one can pass as angry, such as this one and this one. These can express shock. This could express her being sad. Same thing with this one as well, although I don't really like that image because it's so small. But again, what you'd want to do is just generate the 12 panel grids until you get it as close to as what you needed. Once you've gotten the 12 panel or the 18 panel photo image grid that you need, the next step is to enhance your photos before you export it and move on to the step that I'm going to show you after this. Before we do that, we're going to enhance this photo, and what you're going to do is you're going to click on Upscale, and this is where you're going to determine if you want to keep these images looking as close to how they look now, or if you want a dramatic change to this entire look. Let me demonstrate what that looks like. If you want to keep these images as close to how they look right now, then what you'd want to do is click on this basic mode and determine if you want a 2K resolution or a 4K resolution. Honestly, you're probably going to be good with just using the 2K resolution, and you're going to want to click on Upscale. So the image has been upscaled at 2K resolution, and as you can see, this is the before and after. It looks a lot more crisp, a lot more sharper, a lot more refined. And if you wanted your consistent consistent character to look exactly like this, then you'd be good to go. However, if you want to experiment, then we'd do this. We'd click on high and we'd click the imagination option wild. Now, the other thing that you need to know is this. Under the high mode, you are not able to upscale to 4K. FreePik says they currently only support 4K upscales with the basic mode. So 2K resolution is all you're going to be able to use with this mode. Let's go ahead and upscale it so that you can see what that looks like. Now, here's the thing. Doesn't this person look a lot more human under the wild imagination as opposed to just the basic 2K resolution upscale? I would tend to think so. And that's exactly what I did with my consistent character named Danny. Before I did the next step, which I'm going to show you in just a second, I upscaled this image using the wild imagination, and she came out looking much more closer to an actual photorealistic human being. So again, those are stylistic choices, but I would highly recommend that you see what it looks like under a wild imagination and then also see what it looks like under a basic upscale if you want your image to remain as close to how it looked when you initially generated it. Now, you're probably asking, how do we actually get these photos into individual formats so that we can upload them into FreePik and train the model on this consistent character? All you then have to do is this. So let's say that you settled on this image right here. You'd want to go here and you'd want to click upscale and download. Then you'd want to locate the image on your computer, pull it up in front of you, and do the following. Now, I'm on a Mac, and on Mac we have a couple of ways of pulling up a snipping tool. We have Shift Command F, which allows you to individually draw what you need for these images, because as you guessed it, we need to go and snip these images individually. Or the mode that I like to use is Shift Command 5. What that does is gives you a rectangle that you can line up, size it precisely how you need it, hit enter, and you've got your image. Then you'd want to go to the next image. And again, since that rectangle is already somewhat formed, all you'd have to do is resize this, hit enter, and then move on until you capture all of the images. If you're on a Windows computer, according to Google, all you'd need to do in order to open the snipping tool is to click the Windows logo key plus the shift button plus S. That will allow you to take the static images that you need in order to proceed to the next step, which is training the AI on your consistent character. So again, whether you're on a Mac, whether you're on a PC, you need to go and capture each and every one of the images that generated from your photo grid, have them all in one location, and get them ready to be uploaded into FreePik to move on to the next step. Okay, so by now you should have already snipped the images from either your 12 panel, your 8 panel, 18 panel photo grid, and you're now ready to take those images into the FreePik character model in order to train the AI on your consistent character. And the way you do that is this. You click over here into character, you click on new character, as we talked about earlier. And again, you'd want to give your character a name, you'd want to select the gender, and you'd click here and you'd upload all of those images that you snipped into this section. And as I mentioned with my character Danny, this is what the process should look like once you locate those images on your computer and upload them in this section. They should all again be separated into individual images, and you'd want to make sure that you didn't screw this up to where you've got two faces in one. And again, you're going to want to select either high quality, which says that it's better quality and it's balanced for speed, and ideal for styles. Now where it says characters remaining, that's just calculating how many characters you'd be able to make based on your credit balance. So based on my current credit balance with FreePik, I'd be able to generate 6 characters. But again, at a minimum, you're going to need 5,500 credits in order to pull this off. And also, just to reiterate, it doesn't matter if you select high or ultra, they both consume the same amount of credits. And ultra says it's superior quality, slower, ideal for detailed, precise work. And again, you've already upscaled the image. Maybe you selected the wild imagination like I did to make this as photorealistic as possible. And since it's going to be the same amount of credits, you might as well just click on ultra. So again, once you've created the name for your character, the gender for your character, you've uploaded the images, you've selected the quality level, you'd then want to click on create character. The process will take a bit of time, so go ahead, stretch, go outside for some fresh air, or go check out some of the other tutorials on my channel while you wait, and then come back to FreePik after some time. type. Okay, so by now your character should be created. It's time to test it out to see how it actually performs. Again, I'm going to be using my consistent character Danny. I've already given you an example earlier of how this should actually work, but this is how you'd actually test out your model to make sure it's doing what you need it to do. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say a smiling woman, and I'm not going to do anything too crazy. I may go ahead and turn this on, and I'm going to do this. In order to call your character, you need to click on character and click here. Now you're going to get this notice right here where it says new styles are only available in Flux or Mystic mode. So it's switching to Flux mode. And what that means is that this doesn't work for Flux 1.1. And honestly, it also gives you this warning if you try to use Mystic. I'm just going to show you just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to click on Mystic, and I'm going to click on the 1.0 model, and it says custom characters with Mystic is in beta. Switch to Flux mode if your character changes too much. So again, it's telling you how to use this. We're going to stick with Flux 1.0. And again, not to waste too many credits in case this thing starts hallucinating. Once I turn on this AI prompt enhancement, let's see what we get. So there's Danny, and she's smiling just like we requested. And FreePik's AI added this other stuff that's going on here. But again, it doesn't matter because we're just testing out the consistent character model. Next, we're going to say a sad woman. See what that gives us. I would say that's more of a surprised look than sad, but here's something that's crazy. When I click in this, it says a sad woman of Asian descent, and that's because we had FreePik's AI prompt enhancement turned on. So you may want to turn that off. I still don't know if it would still give us the image that we want, but we're going to check it out. And this is what we got as a generation. It's debatable or not whether she's sad, but again, I'm sure with more generations you get close to what you want. But the purpose of this is that, as I demonstrated earlier with Amber, who's smiling in all of the images that I uploaded to her character, it didn't matter if you put sad, it didn't matter if you put frowning, it didn't matter if you put angry, because the AI trained on multiple photos of one consistently smiling individual, you do not get any dynamic range. Again, with Danny, I already put in a depressed young woman sits at the edge of her bed, and again, I called that character model, and this is definitely a depressed looking female. And so that's what you're going to want to do. Let me just check something right quick. So they didn't add that Asian part in this time. So I would probably recommend not to turn this on so that the AI doesn't start hallucinating. I mean, I would still say that that looks like Danny either way, but just go ahead, try out a few different prompts just to see for yourself that your consistent character is giving you the ranges that you're requesting based on how FreePik's AI trained on your character. That again is why it's so important to make sure that you get this part correct in terms of getting as much dynamic range in the emotions as possible. And again, just to come back to my prompts database, I would say I did a fairly good job of capturing a fairly good amount of dynamic ranges from my Danny character. And again, that is why I'm able to get an image like this. Now, before we go, there are a couple of things that I need to point out to you so that you don't get tripped up. Number one, again, this is your character Danny, right? You need to be aware that if you upscale this using something like Wild, your character more than likely will change in terms of their look. And let me go ahead and demonstrate that right now. So as you can see, she's changed dramatically. Now, that could either be a good thing or a bad thing. But the thing is, if you're going to do that, you need to be consistent with it each and every time. So if your character looks like this originally and you put in a wild imagination to get her looking like this, then you need to do that each and every time in order to generate that consistent look. I'll show you another example of that. Let's go ahead and upscale this using a wild imagination. So again, this is how she looks when she's upscaled with a wild imagination. Teeth are kind of jacked up, but you know, I could use the retouch tool to fix that, or I could just generate another image completely. And as you can see, that look is mostly consistent with this upscaled look right here. So again, if you're going to do a wild upscale or a vivid upscale or a subtle upscale, you need to do that consistently in order for you to get that consistent look every single time. And again, it could just depend on what you've got going on. If you're making a narrative short film and you wanted her to look like this, then just do the wild imagination for all of your scenes looking like this. And maybe you were doing something completely different and you didn't want her to look like that, then you could just use the basic 2K upscale and have all of your scenes look like this. The second tip that you need to be aware of, you will not be able to use styles or low res with your consistent characters. Nothing's going to change if you do that. I'll demonstrate that for you right now. So again, we've got Danny, we're gonna say a sad woman. She's selected right here, and we're going to select a style of vintage Japanese. As you can see right here, it says mixing custom characters and style is in beta. Change the strengths for optimized results. So it was already at 100. I'm going to click generate. As you can see, it didn't change the image in any way. I mean, it made like an extreme close-up of her face, but we did not get that vintage Japanese look, which actually looks like this. In order to actually use this Laura, you would basically just have to say something like this with no image reference in order for that Laura to work. And I'll prove it yet again. I'll actually max out the strength of this, and then I'll hit generate. And there you have it again. Even with the Laura of vintage Japanese, Lauras will not work on consistent characters. The third thing I want to leave you with is this. If for some reason you screwed this process up and you needed to modify your consistent character, the way you do that is you'd go into the character models, you'd click on this gear icon right here, and again, let's say you wanted to add even more dynamic range to this character. Like let's say you generated a 6-panel photo grid of her just looking sad. You would come here, you'd upload those images, and you'd click modify the character. But what you need to be aware of is that you will get charged the same amount of credits as if you were actually creating a brand new character. So again, it's pretty awesome that they give you the option to modify your consistent character, because if you've already got it like you want it and you want to actually improve on it, you can come here and do that. But on the same token, you have to be careful with that because adding to it could actually screw it up. So make sure you're tracking what you're adding just in case adding more to it ends up throwing your model off. And again, this is just the range that they give you, which they say as high as 25, but I'm positive that the more images you add, the better the model will get. So I wouldn't be worried about that too much. But to be honest, I would say I would probably not add more than 50 images. I'm somewhat confident that adding more than 50 images won't screw anything up. But again, you don't want to get to the point to where the AI is hallucinating and it's making images that you are not expecting at all. Now, there are ways to beef up your consistent character, because I've actually done the same exact thing in Krea AI, and the initial image generations of Danny were somewhat meh. As you can see right here, she looks pretty basic, and that's how the AI initially imagined her. But what I've done is beefed her up significantly to where she looks like a bad mama jamma, as Carl Carlton would say. If you're interested in learning how to actually beef up your consistent characters, I'm actually going to be doing a deep dive on consistent characters in my upcoming training. Again, we're going to really nerd out on consistent characters because again, this is so important when it comes to narrative filmmaking that you've got to get this correct. So again, if you're interested in learning how to actually beef up your consistent characters, you're going to want to check out this upcoming training that I've got, where we're going to completely nerd out on how to get your consistent characters exactly how you want them. You can find out more information about that in the description below this video. So once again, this is Paul Adonis Maximus. Thanks for checking out this video. Please join me in the next one.